Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and culture. My name is Nicky and I'm joined, as always, by the man who in his youth made many a silk purse out of a sow's ear. It's Greg. How are you, Greg?
I'm very well. I thought you might introduce yourself as newly minted Laird of Glencoe.
I am the Laird of Glencoe. Well, I am a Laird of Glencoe. But yes, it is my birthday today and my wife bought me a little plot of land in Glencoe and I am a Laird. I keep wanting to say the Laird of Glencoe, but I am a Laird of Glencoe. So very happy about that. A couple of years ago, I think maybe mentioned it on the podcast before, I bought my wife a Lady of Glencoe ship for Christmas a couple of years ago. Yeah. So that was why she's done that. So yes, we are Laird and Lady and Lady of Glencoe. So that's wonderful. So I'm looking forward to ruling Glencoe with my lairdship.
How big is the piece of land? Because I've seen these things before, but I'm never sure how big the actual bit of land is.
I think I need to double check, but I think it's literally like a square foot.
Right. Okay.
Like I wouldn't be able to go camping there if I wanted to. It's literally like a square foot of land. But hey, it's still a bit of land. So
exactly.
I am officially a laird. And when you just thought this podcast couldn't get any more Scottish, we now have an actual laird presenting the show. Next week, I need to go and send my passport off for renewal. And I'm now considering, do I put laird on my passport instead of Mr.? You know, hey, technically I am a laird, so I could do it.
Mm-hmm. You should do it.
I'd have to wear a tweed suit whenever I fly, technically, so that people will believe me. But hey, officially I am a laird. We are Laird and Lady of two kind of square foot pieces of Glencoe.
You'd have to get yourself a pair of tartan travelling vans for when you travel.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I will do, actually. I'll look into that. I don't know. I've never seen tartan vans, but yeah, I'll have to look into that and see if I can get them.
I'll keep an eye out. Very good. So I've got a question for you. You just made me think of something there. So obviously you and I are going to be meeting up in our old stomping ground of Aberdeen in May. And I know that you have booked your ticket already. Now, I assume that when you booked your ticket, you put your passport number on the booking. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
You're going to renew your passport, so you're going to have a new passport number. Is that going to cause you a problem?
That's a very good point. That is a point I had not thought of, Greg.
Right.
And I was thinking about renewing my passport. My passport is valid until next May.
Right.
But I thought, let's get it renewed now because it's quiet time of the year. And then my wife and I might be going on holiday, summer, August, then if I have to wait until after May, then I'll have to wait longer to get it renewed. But that is a very valid point I had not thought about. So I might have to wait until, after my trip in May to renew my passport.
Because I need to renew my passport, but I've not booked my ticket yet. But I'm at a bit of an impasse because I'm worried that if I send my passport away now, it might take a few weeks to get back, and then I book my ticket and it ends up costing me an absolute fortune. But the last time I renewed, because the third problem with my passport is I don't have any room in it, because as I'm sure if you know, you'll know, I should say, wherever you go in the Middle East, they insist on stamping a clean page in your passport rather than just stamping a bit of space on another page.
No, I never found that, actually. I always found, because there were a few months where I had to go to Oman and back every month to renew my visa, and no, I find they would literally stamp any old space.
Oh, really? Well, maybe I won't bother.
Maybe they've changed things. Don't know.
I don't know. I mean, every time I travelled, and I've not travelled for work since 2020 because of the pandemic, but I would travel all around the Middle East, and I just got a new passport in 2018, and by the end of 2019 I had one blank page which has now got a big dirty United Arab Emirates visa sticker taking up the whole thing. Well then, you have to fold up. So you haven't sent your passport away yet?
No, not yet.
Right, okay.
No, but that's a very valid point, because I was going to do it next weekend, but you're right. Now that I have got that flight booked with my passport number, maybe I should. Does your passport number change?
It does change.
I guess it does, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that then. Maybe I'll have to wait. That's a very valid point. Could be a headache. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm sure it happens all the time, though. People book flights and change their passport.
Yeah, or lose their passport.
I will ask Dr. Google about that tomorrow, before I send it away.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Okay, well, shall we have a look at what's been going on in Scotland in the last couple of weeks since we've been away? I mean, we've been in Scotland in the last few weeks. We met up in Scotland, came back so tired, and I think the reason I was tired was because I was in Glasgow and I forgot how much people just speak to you in Glasgow. Yeah. Literally, I got in to Glasgow. I went to I got to my hotel, checked in. I was hungry and Googled, and there was a chip shop just down the road. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go and get some chips. So I went to the chip shop, and the woman behind the counter, I was there for like 10 minutes because she was telling me about how the previous evening a customer had offered her £10 for a blowjob. She'd also been offered a wrap of cocaine. A guy came in asking if it was a pizza shop, and she said to him, look above the fucking door, it says fish and chips. We don't serve fucking pizzas. And then she told me a story about how a guy came in the previous night asking if where she was hiding the kebab meat, because he was convinced they serve kebabs. I went into Primark and bought something like a little kind of, I'd forgotten to take any aftershave with me. So I went in and bought like a little kind of travel set. Mm-hmm. And I was there for a few minutes as well because the woman was saying, oh, that's smashing that. That's so lovely. Like, that's really handy. Where did you find this? And I'm like, well, you work here. Like, it's over there. She's like, oh, that's really good. That's amazing that. Oh, that's really good. And then even when I went to leave and got to the airport and I had to go to the check-in desk because obviously COVID restrictions, I had to show my negative test and stuff. And I was the first in line, and the woman looked a bit pissed off, and I was like, oh, okay. And then she just breaks into a smile, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm shattered today. Like, I was out line dancing last night. And then she points over at the security guard at the door, and she's like, I was out with him and his wife. You see the security guy there? I was out with him and his wife line dancing. Oh, it was such a good time. Do you want an aisle or window seat? Yeah. In fact, do you want an emergency exit seat? Gives you a wee bit extra leg room. No bother. Okay, I'll give you that. Such a good time. Oh, line dancing. Oh, it was so good. But oh God, I'm so shattered today, and I'm just started and I'm on till 5 o'clock, so it's going to be a long day. And I'm like, I just want to check in, please. Like, but I can't say anything because I'm like, this woman is controlling whether I get home or not. So I have to smile and be as nice as possible. But yeah, I'd forgotten how exhausting Glasgow can be, but in a very good way.
Yeah. I mean, I think I can, the reason that we're both back is unfortunately my father passed away after quite a long illness. But I was telling you when I was going through his things, my father, as I may have mentioned on the podcast before, was a keen fisherman and shooter, and he liked knives. And when I was going through his things, I found a variety, I think I sent you a picture, a variety of lethal-looking knives, an illegal air pistol, which he'd held on to, which he should have got rid of years ago after they were outlawed, and a couple of batons, including a baseball bat. It was quite heavy. I'm not sure it was filled with concrete, but it was quite heavy. The thing is, whenever we would stay at my dad's, my wife likes the door to be locked when she goes to bed. She likes to feel secure. Front door locked, everyone's windows closed, everyone's safe. My dad never locked his door when he was in, and I give him a hard time for it, but now I think I understand. He was armed to the fucking teeth in his bedroom, probably hoping that an intruder would come in the night so he could reach for one of his fucking weapons and sort him out.
When you sent me that photo, I almost expected to see like a chief inspector behind a desk of this is the cachet of arms we have taken this week. And yeah, it was quite an arsenal your dad had.
It was like a photograph when the local police station in like Easterhouse or somewhere has a weapons amnesty. Do you know what I mean? So, but anyway, we're back now with an exciting episode, I'm sure.
We are.
So, shall we cue the jingle for the news?
Well, you need to say it. Let's have a look at the news.
Cue the jingle.
This is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, so what have you seen in Scotland in the last couple of weeks that has caught your eye?
Okay, well, my first story comes from Edinburgh, the website Edinburgh Live, towards the back end of the 26th of February. The headline is, The Chase viewers hit out at Scottish contestant after messing up question on famous play. So this is Shona from Bonnybridge. She revealed that she's a professional lawn bowler on episode of The Chase, and she even made an appearance at the 2006 Commonwealth Games in Melbourne, representing the UK. However, the retired taxi driver's general knowledge skills were not as good as her sporting ability. Host of The Chase, Bradley Walsh, asked 66-year-old Shona, in Macbeth, which characters look not like the inhabitants o' the earth? The former cabbie incorrectly answered fairies and lost £4,000, with the Dark Destroyer, one of the chasers, correctly answering witches. Viewers of the Tea Time quiz were frustrated that Shona wasn't familiar with the famous Shakespeare play, with one commenting, fairies? And she's supposed to be Scottish. Another added, did she just say fairies? While one said, of course it was witches. Apparently it comes after a hapless contestant on The Chase made a shocking mix-up after confusing a legendary ex-Rangers manager with a famous Scots author. I can only deduct that, he's got to tell us now, with just 26 minutes remaining, Bradley asked the team which Scotsman wrote the novel The Master of Ballantrae, and fans of the show were left swooning over a handsome contestant from Midlothian who left them glued to their screens. The communications manager admitted that he was a huge Hearts fan and used to play football, but viewers were more interested in his good looks. I can only assume that it's not going to tell us in the article that he mixed up Sir Walter Scott with the late Walter Smith. But
I was thinking it was Paul Le Guin.
Yeah, it's quite easy to forget about Paul Le Guin until somebody mentions him.
Not for a non-Rangers fan, it's not.
Yeah, I suppose not. So, yeah, I think Shona's getting a bit of a hard time because, as we all know, Macbeth, the play, was written by William Shakespeare, who's not from Scotland. So I think giving her a hard time because she confused witches with fairies is perhaps a bit uncharitable. Do you see The Chase at all? Do you watch it when you're in Amsterdam on your streams?
I'll be honest, no, I don't watch. I did watch it occasionally in Dubai because there was like a random ITV channel.
That's right.
There.
Yep.
In Amsterdam, no, we don't get ITV. We get BBC. So I often watch Pointless, which I guess is The Chase's kind of competitor.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't really watch The Chase that much. But I'm aware of it and familiar with the premise. And that does strike me as quite stupid, though. You would know it's witches and not fairies, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Again, maybe trying to be devil's advocate. I find that The Chase causes me a bit of anxiety, to be honest, because like up until I was home this time, I'd never seen any contestants actually win ever. Like, you know, and I was saying as much to my sister, and she said, no, people do win quite often. And then that episode that we were watching, the team won, but I was on the edge of my seat. Do you know what I mean? Because
it does, yeah. It gets quite climactic because as the board's going down and you've got like Paul Sinha kind of as it's coming, it does get quite, I can imagine, anxious.
When the chasers up in the final round and they're being given questions, they're just like bang, 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 and they, you know, I find it a bit stressful. But
it's glorious when they make a mistake though, or fuck up, and you're like, yes, come on.
Yep. So that's my first story. Poor old Shona from Bonnybridge. What's your first story this episode?
Well, my first story comes from the Scottish Sun this week, and this is when we envisaged the Swally. This was the kind of story I wanted to deliver. Right. And I genuinely cannot believe this made national news in Scotland. And it was in the Sun and it was also in the Daily Record. But I've taken the article from the Sun. A Scots mum has slammed a takeaway after it delivered her kebab with the wrong sauce, which left her starving. The woman ordered a kebab from The Spice of Life in Lauriston, Falkirk, last night. Obviously not last night, but when this article was published. She added salad, garlic sauce, and a tub of garlic sauce to her order, but was left disappointed when the order arrived. However, the takeaway has told the Scottish Sun that the customer got what she ordered. The customer, who is currently self-isolating with COVID, said that she called the takeaway about the mix-up and then broke down in tears. She ordered the meal at 7:30 p.m. and she received a kebab about an hour and a half later with chili sauce all over. The woman said that staff promised her they would replace this, but she was still left waiting until 11 p.m. for a replacement. She ended up saying, "I'm going to bed, angry and starving." On Just Eat, she left a scathing review of the restaurant and gave the restaurant a 1 star for the food service and delivery time. She said, "I ordered at 7:30. 1.5 hours later, I got a call and I got the kebab with chili sauce all over it. I didn't even order chili sauce. I ordered garlic sauce. I put it in the comments." Of course, it's somehow my fault that they don't read the comments. They promised to replace, but it's been 3 hours now. It's 11 o'clock. I've got COVID, I'm isolating, I'm starving, and I have a child who should have been in bed not watching mummy cry over a kebab that none of us can eat. Why is your child still up? What's this got to do with the situation that your child has got to stay up and watch you crying over a kebab? Even after I paid, it took an hour and a half to deliver. I made 2 calls. No one called me back. Awful. Never again. In a post on Facebook, the woman said a replacement was never sent out. And whilst I was promised it twice, the kid had to stay up and wait for it. Yay. Why is your kid staying up for you to get your kebab? Anyway, she says, "I went to bed angry and starving. My order doesn't say chili sauce anywhere. I went to bed angry." So, yeah, why is this national news that she ordered a kebab and she got the wrong sauce on it?
I mean, when I hear about a human being, like a human struggle like that, it really kind of puts things in perspective. You know what I mean? Like Russian troops in the Ukraine, bloody Saudi rockets getting fired at Yemen. But the real struggle is actually in Falkirk, where a woman who has got the right to get the right kind of sauce in her kebab, it's a human right, and these jokers in the spice of life just don't read their order properly, drown it in chili sauce. I suspect that there is more to this woman's melancholy than just the wrong kebab.
I do love a kebab with garlic sauce. Yeah. Love a kebab with garlic sauce. But would you order it, like, you'd have to be pissed to order that. Have you ever eaten a kebab sober?
Well, it's impossible to eat a kebab sober. Everybody
knows
that.
I have. I think, mind you, maybe after a few beers, but I used to struggle in Dubai. There was a couple of kebab places, but it was mostly like chicken or beef kebabs. Yeah, right, but I found one place that did lamb kebabs, like proper doner kebab, and I did order from there a few times when I was a little bit pissed.
Bob's Fish and Chips?
Actually, yeah, Bob's, but there was another place in Motor City, I think, that did proper lamb kebabs, and I would order a kebab, and I would order chips, cheese, and doner, and with like loads of garlic sauce. Yeah. Now, if it came with chili sauce, I'd probably be a bit pissed off because I like my garlic sauce. Yep. But I wouldn't think to phone up Golf News and complain about this and make sure my article was published. Like, what in the name of Christ does... Oh, this is a news story. I got the wrong sauce on my kebab. And also, why is part of this story so central that the child is staying up to see her mum get the kebab?
I know. It's bizarre. I mean, I think for me, a kebab doesn't taste the same unless you've had quite a lot to drink before you eat it. You know what I mean? It's kind of up there with a haggis supper when you're like... Yeah. A bit pissed in it. It's the right thing. It's the right thing to eat at that time. But I can't imagine ever ordering a kebab for my dinner. You know,
I think I might have told this story on the podcast before, but I got into a habit, and it was when I was in Norwich. I would order 2 kebabs on my way home, and I would have 1 kebab on the way home, like eat it, and then I would put the other kebab on my bedside table. And if you wake up and you have a kebab lying there and you have to eat it straight away,
Yeah.
It is the best thing in the world. When you're hungover and you have a kebab and a can of iron brew, that just solves everything.
Yeah.
And I went through a period of doing that, buying 2 kebabs, keeping one on my bedside table. I mean, the room fucking stank the next day.
I bet it did.
It's a wonderful thing. Just chowing down a kebab for breakfast, and then you have a little nap, and you wake up and you feel right as rain.
I'm sure there'll be listeners that will be trying to work out what we look like by the sound of our voices, and I'm sure they probably think that you're a fucking right fat bastard, like wedged into your desk and everything. But I can tell you that he's not. Like, he's not. He's a slender, good-looking guy. A bit like myself.
No, it's been a long time since I've done that. But yeah, for a period of time, that was my go-to. 2 kebabs. There you go.
The thing is, like, the age that you would have been when you did that,
Yeah,
like, your body,
I burnt it off, yeah.
Your body allowed you to do that anyway. You know what I mean? Because if I think about what I lived off from the age of 21, 22 until around about the time I met my wife, which was when I was 28, I literally lived off sandwiches, toast, fast food, kebabs, pizzas, pasta, and hundreds of booze. Obviously, I can't live like that now because I'm in my 40s and I'll just end up putting on tons of weight and probably suffering a heart attack before I'm 50. I eat a lot better now, but I sometimes get a bit of a tremble when I think back to a diet in those days.
Oh, never mind. So I'm very sorry for this woman, and I hope she, she didn't get her kebab, but I hope she got some sort of resolution and had some toast in the morning. Okay, so what else have you seen this week, Greg? What's your next story?
So when you were a teenager, did you ever, with your friends, go camping up in the Aberdeenshire countryside?
No, I did go camping once with he's my cousin. We went camping in Cullen.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the only time I've been. Well, that's not the only time we've been camping. I've been to a few festivals and camped, but yeah, never really been camping in the countryside of Scotland.
What sort of things would you have on your provisions list if you knew you were going to camp in the countryside with your cousin?
Well, it depends. What age? I mean, at that age, I think I was about 12 or 13, so I don't know. Probably water, toilet rolls, some food, a tent, sleeping bags, like provisions. What do you mean? Like in terms of food-wise?
Not a big bag of cocaine.
No. At 12 years old, I wouldn't have... had any cocaine at 12 years old.
Well, my next story comes from the Falkirk Herald from Friday the 25th of February. The headline is, Falkirk man planned to share cocaine with camping pals. A man who brought cocaine to give to his pals on a camping trip has been spared jail. This is John Buist, I think I'm saying it right. Age 46, should have known better, was caught with the drugs close to his home. However, after police, acting on intelligence, stopped his car in Alexander Avenue in Falkirk, officers found 16 snap bags containing cocaine with a street value of £730. Falkirk Sheriff Court heard yesterday it was accepted by the Crown that the drugs were for social rather than commercial supply. Buist of Cunningham Gardens pleaded guilty to intent to supply on the 1st of June 2020. His solicitor Simon Hutchinson said Mr. Buist was going with some friends on a camping trip and he had agreed to source the drugs. Somebody else was buying the alcohol. And everybody chipped in. After hearing that Buist now had significant health issues, Sheriff Simon Collins QC fined him £470 and placed him under social work supervision for 18 months. He said, in many circumstances, an offence like this would carry a prison sentence. So I think old John has probably got off quite lightly there. £730 worth of cocaine just to share with his pals. I mean, my question would be, if you're in a tent, what are you going to cut your lines out on? Unless someone brings like a CD case with them or something like that. Or a book.
Well, yeah, but then are you going to have a CD player? But in fact, I just saw the other day on Amazon that they're now selling CD Walkmans again.
Oh, really?
As like a hipster kind of thing.
Yeah, I've seen cassette tape Walkmans here in Dubai, and I've seen, I think I sent some pictures. There's like Virgin Megastore that's got like a range of music on cassette.
If they brought that amount of cocaine with them, I'm sure they have thought in advance about what they're going to cut it up on.
Maybe they're going to do it sort of a Football Factory back of the bus style, just a little dab on the hand. Well, I think we can agree that John is lucky not to have been handed a custodial sentence for his 16 snapbags of cocaine. Okay, what's your next story this week?
I've got a story about, funnily enough, about Glasgow, and it's the Social in Glasgow, which I think we've been to a couple of times, Greg. So,
and has made an appearance
Glasgow,
in the news before, the Social, hasn't it?
It certainly has. So the Social is in the news again because the bar has been accused of refusing entry to a group of revellers who had booked 3 booths weeks in advance, but they refused entry for no reason. Claims surfaced online that the bouncers and management staff at the Social, based in the city's Royal Exchange Square, told the group, booking and paying doesn't guarantee entry. So this is a woman who had booked 3 booths and 3 big drink packages for her boyfriend's birthday for a total of 24 people on a Saturday night. The booking was secured weeks in advance and cost the group a total of £400, which was paid over the phone. But she was left stunned when she arrived at the bar 20 minutes early and the bouncer said to her, "Not tonight, love." She claimed that 2 different bouncers refused her entry and they would not give her a reason for refusing her entry. When she asked them about the booking, they said, booking and paying doesn't guarantee entry. Sorry. So she took to social media to kind of exclaim about this. So she posted on her Facebook saying, we won't be back to the Social. We booked 3 booths for Saturday night and for my boyfriend's birthday. Cost us £400 for 24 people. We arrived 20 minutes early and they said, no, not tonight. Bear in mind, we had pre-booked 3 weeks in advance, paid over the phone, and were guaranteed 3 booths and 3 drink packages. Then we were told, not tonight, pal, by 2 different bouncers for no reason. None of us had even had a drink yet. Or, if people did, it was literally 1 or 2 vodkas whilst waiting for the taxi. Well, get your story straight here. Like, you're saying, none of us had anything to drink, or if we had, it was maybe 1 or 2 vodkas. I asked to speak to the bouncer's manager, etc., to figure out what was going on, but if there was some kind of mix-up, but he said, no, you can't speak to anyone. Absolutely shocking, and it hasn't been refunded yet, by the way. A group of boys who were down seeing their friends from Liverpool were behind us, and they got knocked back as well. Yes, bouncers are rude and horrible, and I would avoid this place at all costs, especially if you're trying to do something nice for someone. One person said, yes, exactly the same thing happened to us before. We waited about 3 weeks for a refund. Another added, a couple of years ago this got done to us as well. Worst bouncers in Glasgow on that door. A third wrote, that sounds like our experience. Others fumed, this is not the way the situation should have been handled by door staff. So, unfortunate that they didn't get to go for their night out. The reason I picked this story was because we got knocked back from the Social, didn't we, one night? I think you, me and Greg, you, me and our mutual friend. Was it the Social or was it the place next door?
It was the place next door. It was after we'd been to see Joy Division at the Academy. We walked back into town. I mean, Glasgow. I'm not like having a go at Glasgow bouncers because I'm sure they're probably given instructions. But like when I lived in Aberdeen, we would often have drinks before we went out, and sometimes we would leave whoever's flat we were at like pretty hammered, and I can hand on heart say that I was never refused entry anywhere in Aberdeen, no matter what kind of condition I was in when I rolled up. But in Glasgow, when I moved back to Glasgow, you would get like interrogated by bouncers. Where have you been tonight? how much we had to drink. You know what I mean? And if you said that you'd been to like more than maybe 2 pubs, they just wouldn't let you in, you know, and you also would get searched as well to make sure you weren't carrying like anything out my dad's drawer. Into the club. But yeah, like really, really strict. Like there were times when we would plan to go somewhere like the garage and we would go somewhere else first. And I would just be like, I've got no chance of getting in. So I'm just going to go home rather than put myself through the humiliation of being knocked back. You know what I mean? So they are strict. But I mean, when you've booked like that, I mean, if she's telling the truth and everybody was like sober and everything, it's a bit tight. Especially when they're booked and paid. Mean,
if you booked and paid for your boyfriend's birthday and then all of a sudden you're not allowed in, and effectively they're turning away 40-odd people for that evening. And I'm sure it's not going to be an issue for them. They'll make up that money in terms of other customers. But still, you're turning away guaranteed cash there.
I mean, this is pure conjecture on my part, but I know of the guy that owns the company that owns the social, that the social is part of. I know of him and his reputation, and I wouldn't be surprised if like a footballer or something had booked in late and they just fucked off the regular people. I'm sure it probably happens quite a lot because I know that the place upstairs, the later on, is quite popular with some of the Glasgow foot teams, players and stuff, and minor celebrities that live in Glasgow. Michelle McManus, people like that, you know. So, oh well, that's a shame. No luck. Hope you get your money back soon.
Okay. Anything else this week, Greg, that you've seen?
Nope. That was all the news that I found.
No. The only other thing I've seen is, and I am not on board with this, but I know you are, is Wordle.
Oh, yes. I do like a bit of Wordle.
And have you seen that Wordle have, and I don't know how it works, but apparently they've blocked words. So they have blocked Jobby, Jings, and Bobby on Wordle.
Okay.
So there was an article in The Sun today saying that puzzlers can't use the cheeky terms common in Scotland, even though Egypt and fanny are accepted. Apparently Jaked, Jings and Greggy are accepted. But unfortunately Jings, Jobby and Bobby are banned.
I mean, it's a really straightforward thing. Basically, there's a 5-letter word every day. You've got 6 goes at guessing what the 5-letter word is. And it tells you if you've got a letter right, and it tells you if you've got a letter in the right place. So by the power of deduction, you should be able to guess what the word is. Very, very straightforward. It's just been acquired from the guy that designed it for millions of dollars by the New York Times. So we have to... Some of the words are American spellings. Like one of the words the other week was humour, and of course they only have one U in their spelling of humour in America. So anyway.
Okay, well, sad times.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll come and go like all these things. It was your choice this week. It's been a few weeks, as we mentioned, since we did an episode, but you chose this at the end of the last episode, just another Saturday, which is still available. Why don't you introduce this week's movie?
Well, prior to that, Greg, let's have a little from our sponsor.
There goes all that advertising money. I almost forgot.
The great shopping centres of the world. The Champs-Élysées has chic. Park Avenue is right on. Milan has flair, and Rome has style. Princess Square in Glasgow has it all, and there's a sale on.
Okay, yes, Greg, it was my choice this week. So I want to have a look at the 1995 historical drama Rob Roy, directed by Michael Canton-Jones and starring Liam Neeson, Jessica Lange, John Hurt, Brian Cox, and Tim Roth. It tells the tale of Robert Roy MacGregor, head of a Highland clan who is trying to lead them to a better future. Robert borrows money from the Marquis of Montrose to buy cattle, but when the money is stolen, Rob becomes an outlaw in search of revenge. Conceived as basically a western set in Scotland and filmed entirely in Scotland. Yeah, Rob Roy. Honour made him a man, courage made him a hero, history made him a legend. What are your first memories and thoughts of Rob Roy?
Obviously, Rob Roy came out, well, it's obvious to everybody, it's obvious to me. It came out the same year as Braveheart. It was released a little after Braveheart. It's almost impossible to talk about Rob Roy without drawing some comparison. I watched this on VHS about a year after it came out. I was expecting another sort of Braveheart-esque dismemberment, bloody battles, and it's not really that kind of film. It's almost a kind of romantic kind of drama. The romance being the setting in Scotland during the 1700s, etc. I didn't really enjoy it, if I'm honest, the first time I watched it, because it wasn't what I was anticipating. And I haven't watched it since, apart from little bits and bobs that have, when it's been on the TV, maybe caught sort of 10 minutes here or there. Watching it again for the podcast, it's a bit slow, if I'm honest. I think it's the fact that the first person that we see up close is Eric Stoltz eating shit. It's quite kind of poetic in a way for the rest of the film. When it gets going, it's good. You know what I mean? When it gets going, when Killearn and Cunningham hatch the plot to rip off the money from MacGregor, played by the aforementioned Mr. Stoltz, and the kind of intrigue and the adventures and that kind of starts. It's good. But the first 45 minutes, it's a bit hard going. You know what I mean? It's hard going.
Well, I was the same as you. I watched this on VHS, and it would have been, I'd watched Braveheart before I watched this, which is kind of strange because Rob Roy came out in the UK in the 19th of May, 1995. And Braveheart came out in the 8th of September, 1995. Oh. So, a good few months in between. But I think a lot of people were probably put off because I think already the trailers for Braveheart were out. And people were like, well, actually, I'll wait and watch that one. That one looks a lot better. Looks a bit more action-packed. Than this. Very similar to you, I've only watched this film once, and it was on VHS in probably 1996. And I remembered quite liking it, but not being totally in love with it. Yeah. Whereas Braveheart, I've probably watched, 7, 8, 9 times. Yeah. Rob Roy, the second time I watched it was last week for the podcast. I watched it again, so I've watched 3 times. I've watched Rob Roy, and it's good. It's a good film, and I see where they were going with it, but it's not as good as Braveheart at the end of the day.
I think it's
a very different film though,
entirely, and I do think it's a well-made film. You know what I mean? Particularly the sort of sweeping shots of the Highlands, and it's perhaps got the edge on Braveheart in one way, and that's that it's entirely shot on location in Scotland, whereas Braveheart, I thought the movie was filmed in Ireland, as we spoke about on that episode. So that you can tell that the director, he's enjoying shooting these big sort of vistas and scenes when MacGregor and his clan are running across the hills, and at the beginning of the movie when they're tracking the Tinkers, David Heyman as Tam Sybil, the chief tinker, and it's just ripped off some of the Marquis of Montrose's heathen coups. All that is, the thing is, when you watch the movie for the first time, and that the first sort of 10 minutes there, when Rob Roy captures these guys, and you're like, right, we're on for a rip-roaring swashbuckling experience here. And then the pace just, the whole pace of introducing and building the character of Rob Roy and meeting his wife, played by Jessica Lange, which I'm sure we'll talk about soon at great length, and the rest of his clan and his kids and their house and Loch Lomond and everything. It's just it's hard going. You've got to really dig in. you know?
So, to talk about Liam Neeson as Rob Roy, I mean, he doesn't even make an effort. His accent is pure Irish. And it's a shame because I almost feel it kind of rubs off on Jessica Lange. Like, her accent is Irish. Eric Stoltz, his accent is Irish as well. Yeah. And despite the fact a lot of his scenes are with Brian Cox, but it's almost like Stoltz has been like, okay, I need to do this accent. Okay, I'll take it from Liam because he knows what he's doing. But yeah, it's a completely Irish accent. It's so bad.
This is Robert Roy MacGregor, come to reclaim the 32 beasts stolen from his lordship, James Graham, Marquis of Montrose. Damn Sybil, still at your thieving. Throw down now and I'll spare you. All but one. There's a price to being a leader of men, Tom.
This sort of role for Neeson, because, you know, like ever since he did Schindler's List and he won the Oscar, I can't think of anything that he's done. And I think his performance in Schindler's List is fucking brilliant. I think he's absolutely brilliant in Schindler's List. But in terms of like really stretching his acting chops, you know, like this role just feels like one that he could do with his eyes shut. And he's, you know what I mean? Just sort of stroll through. I know kind of more recently, ever since he did Taken, he seems to get these movies that are a kind of rehash in some shape or form of Taken. He's got to get revenge on somebody for something. But yeah, you know, I mean, like you if you think of him as Qui-Gon Jinn in The Phantom Menace, he's essentially doing a slightly lighter Rob Roy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I would, not to pick a point, but he didn't win any awards for playing Oscar Schindler in Schindler's. He was nominated for Best Actor, but he lost to Tom Hanks in Philadelphia.
Oh, right. Oh, well.
For Best Actor, but he was nominated.
Corrected.
He does. Liam Neeson he's had quite a varied career. I think for me, and probably for you, because I know this is a film we have discussed at length many times, but for me, he will always be Darkman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredible performance as Darkman, and a film I hold very close to my heart. I love Darkman. He's brilliant in that. But yes, broke out into the mainstream in Schindler's List. Around about the same time, he also did another film in Scotland called The Big Man, which he plays a bare-knuckle boxer.
Yeah, you won't want to cut this out, but I picked that for the next episode.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh,
here.
Fantastic.
Yeah. The Big Man came out in 1990, a few years before.
I might leave that in, actually. Yeah, plays Oscar Schindler, and that was kind of his big break. Yeah. And then he did, I don't know, kind of meandered around doing a few big roles. I mean, he's obviously in Love Actually, but I think it was, like Taken was kind of the...
It was like a second coming,
Liam
wasn't
Neeson renaissance. Yeah. And he all of a sudden becomes this action star, and he was in all these action films, and it's bizarre. I mean, Taken's a fucking great film.
Brilliant.
To be fair. I mean, 2 and 3, not so great, but Taken is fantastic, and Liam Neeson is a great actor. And genuinely, to say, Darkman would be one of my favourite films of all time. It's so shit, but it's so good.
Well, it doesn't take itself particularly seriously. You know what I mean? It's an out-and-out comic book movie.
I just can't help but feel like he was slightly miscast as Rob Roy. Like, he's a big guy. He's 6'4". Would he not have been better cast as like William Wallace?
When you see him in shot with Tim Roth, particularly the last scene with the duel at the end of the movie, I mean, Tim Roth could rest his head on Liam Neeson's chest. Do you know what I mean? Like, it makes him look like he's about 7 foot tall almost, because he's, I know that, you know what I mean, just like against someone like Tim Roth, who's just like a regular sort of size guy. Gosh, fucking giant Liam Neeson.
I mean, perfect. Let's talk about Tim Roth. I mean, he is just phenomenal in this role. I was a big Tim Roth fan because obviously his role in Reservoir Dogs and his role in Pulp Fiction. And that always led me to, it was one of my favourite Tales of the Crypt episodes, Ease'll Kill You. Tim Roth was was in that, played like a painter that killed people and used their blood for paint. So to see him in this was great at the time, but I don't think until I watched it again recently, I appreciated just how fucking good he is in this film. And he got nominated for Best Actor at the Academy Awards. He lost to Kevin Spacey for The Usual Suspects. But to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor is pretty much an incredible achievement. And in this film, he's so good. And it's a fine line between you kind of want to really hate him, but he's just so funny and brilliant and just over the top camp as well. It's an amazing performance.
He could have done it in a sort of pantomime kind of villain kind of way, you know what I mean? Where, you know, when you think of the costume that he's in, and it's that 18th century foppish wigs and frock coats and buckled shoes and everything, you know, like when he first appears, you almost want to kind of boo, like he's a pantomime villain. But to your point, like the subtlety, like there's one thing that he does, I'm sure you probably noticed, but in the scene where the second Duke of Argyll, John Campbell, I think it's like a sort of casino or sort of thing, and he has a bit of a debate with John Hurt's character, the Marquis of Montrose, and accuses him of accusing him of being put out that he's a Jacobite. Just before that exchange, Tim Roth he stood beside the Marquis of Montrose's little African kind of houseboy, and he sort of gives the boy a bit of a look. It's like he's kind of measuring him up, you know what I mean? And it's those sort of subtle little things that he's so good at, that really kind of make him like the ultimate kind of villain, you know, because he's much worse than I guess the Marquis of Montrose, played by John Hurt, supposed to be a villain as well, but there are times when he comes across quite reasonable, etc. Ruthless but reasonable. But yeah, there's no doubt in Tim Roth as Archie Cunningham at all. And I agree with you. I think Tim Roth is a phenomenal actor, and we don't really see him in enough things these days. But I watched, when I was back in Glasgow the other week, you can watch it on YouTube. It's a movie called Meantime, which is directed by Mike Leigh, and Tim Roth is in it. Phil Daniels, Gary Oldman is in an early Gary Oldman role. Pam Ferris is in it. Alfred Molina, and Tim Roth plays the kind of younger brother who's, you know, I guess it's implied that he's a bit slow. He's got some learning difficulties, etc. He's the younger brother of Phil Daniels' character, and nothing really happens in the film. It's kind of like a snapshot of their lives, kind of early 1980s working class misery. But Tim Roth is phenomenal in it. And if you watch him as well in Made in Britain, where he plays the skinhead neo-Nazi guy, Alan Clark's film, and he plays the lead in that. I think that's really like his kind of breakout role. You know, he's a phenomenal actor. What's the last thing you saw him in that you remember seeing him in, Tim Roth?
Tim Roth. I mean, I know he's been in he was in a TV show. Is it called Lie to Me?
Yeah.
I think, which was quite big in the US. Genuinely, the last thing I saw Tim Roth in, because I haven't watched Lie to Me. Obviously Rob Roy, because I watched it just the other day. But in terms of the last thing, I couldn't tell you. And I think on the last episode, I said to you, he was a massive kind of influence for me in the
your brand of
90s
cigarettes.
when we said, my brand of cigarettes. Like Tim Roth was, for me, that time of Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, like Tim Roth was the epitome of cool for me. And he was the who I wanted to be kind of aspire. And it's a shame because he's such a good actor. I almost can't believe that's his only, Academy Award nomination.
The last modern thing that I've seen him in was The Hateful Eight, sort of reunited with Quentin Tarantino.
Of course.
And he gives a great performance in that. But when you think about his kind of, sort of generation of actors, I guess there's him, there's Gary Oldman to an extent, there's Phil Daniels, who I mentioned, Jude Law, kind of, because he's got his foot in that early 80s kind of British film kind of renaissance, if you like, and in the kind of 90s, mid-90s, with the Ewan McGregors and Jude Laws, and I suppose Ray Winstone would be a bit of a contemporary to some extent as well. He's been around for a long time.
So, do we think that, we're going to skip ahead here, but do we think that Archie, his character, is the Marquis of Montrose's son? Because he kind of alludes to that he doesn't know who his father was.
Yeah.
But he's sent there by his mother for the Marquis to look after him. And the symbolism of, at the very end, when the Marquis snaps the kind of necklace,
the locket.
I presume that's Archie's mother that is on the locket off of him. Like, are we to think that he is maybe his son?
I think it's heavily implied, if not clear. You know, because why else would this wealthy Marquis? Because we're at the beginning of the film, it's explained that Archie's got himself into some trouble in England. He owes a lot of money. Left and right, etc. It's not really firmly established at the beginning of the film why the Marquis of Montrose has agreed to take him into his household, as a guest, not as a member, as he makes it clear. So I suppose that little moment at the end does kind of answer those questions, What did you think of John Hurt as the aforementioned Marquis?
He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
A great, almost rivals Roth for stealing the film. He's so good, and his performance, he's brilliant. Just the way he gives across this kind of evil English villain. Brilliant. Very good for me.
And then we have the moment, so although the first 45 minutes, as we've mentioned before, are a bit slow going, there's two sex scenes between Liam Neeson and Jessica Lange. The first one being after he's just emerged, dripping from I can only assume an absolutely fucking Baltic Loch Lomond, and then climbed into bed with her, and then against the standing stones up at the top of the hill after the boys have been sent away. Not particularly erotic sex scenes, I would have thought.
No, but yet I had put in my notes, this film is utter filth. And I think I text you the same thing.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Like, there's a couple of, not erotic sex scenes, but they are still sex scenes. And there is also it's more the language of oh, do you want to make my sow's ear into a silk purse again? It's pretty graphic, the wording. I mean, especially the second one, where they send the boys home. Like, okay, off you go, because Mummy and Daddy want to have a shag against this rock.
You know the sort of stereotype that sometimes comes up in movies of 1970s American pornography, and there's usually a sort of slap bass line, bow, 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 that kind of thing. I was thinking maybe you could have like Scottish pornography, but the soundtrack being bagpipes. Do you know what I mean?
Would that work?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe somebody with more technical skills than us could edit some bagpipe music over some famous sex scenes, like Basic Instinct and stuff like that, and we could, see how it turns out. Scotland the Brave.
Yeah.
Or the Highland Granny or something.
I'll give that a bash. Put that onto the Instagram and see how that works.
Get our account shut down. Yeah, I mean, I think we need to have the Jessica Lange conversation, really. So now I read that apparently it was supposed to be Miranda Richardson playing Mary MacGregor, Rob Roy's wife, who, in my mind, although Miranda Richardson's not Scottish, I feel like she'd have made a better fist of it than Jessica Lange when it comes to the accent, because her accent is fucking rubbish.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where I feel on her performance. Like, she's okay, but she's not great. But yeah, her accent is. I mean,
I wonder why she was chosen. I mean, I suppose when you just look at her in costume, she does have a sort of Celtic kind of look about her. Like I'm sure that's not her natural hair color, that kind of red hair. Kind of gingery hair that she has, and in costume and everything, she does look the part. But as soon as she opens her mouth, I mean, it's absolute bobbins.
No, definitely, she looks the part, and she does the Scottish trait of going and having a a slash at the edge of the water in the morning before the boats come in. Yeah. She's not great, to be honest, in terms of her accent.
And I mean, again, the director, Michael Caton-Jones. So in terms of that water, he gets Liam Neeson to emerge from it. It gets her after the rape scene. She gets in the water. Brian McCarthy, who plays Alistair. I mean, talk about him, by the way. Jesus wept. I mean, the scene between him, Brian McCarthy, and Jessica Lange. Now, we've all seen like the making of movies and things and films about how films being made. I imagine that wasn't done in one take. That scene. I would imagine the director would have wanted a few takes. And up to your tits in Loch Lomond in like kilt and a cheesecloth shirt and whatever else. I mean, you know, you got to really want to be in a film with Liam Neeson to do that.
You get used to it after a few hours, though, I would have thought.
Or you would catch pneumonia, hypothermia, perhaps, after a few hours. Yeah, Brian McCarthy. Now, for the record, let it be known that I think Brian McCarthy is a fine actor. You know, I've seen him in a few things. You know, he's in Line of Duty, very, very good. He was in, I forget the name of it, but the one with Sean Bean when he's in prison. The one was on BBC last year.
I think. Yeah.
Time, yeah. He's in that, plays a very good part in that. You know, like he does look quite young in this film. I think it's probably the biggest thing he'd done to date.
Yeah.
But he's going for it in every scene. I know he's playing the kind of hot-headed younger brother of Rob Roy, but there's some shocking moments. I wonder how he feels about it when he looks back. I mean, the one thing he does have going for him is that he's one of the few actual Scottish people that's in the film.
And there are a lack of... Well, actually, I was quite surprised when I actually watched it again in terms of There are a few. I mean, you've got Brian McCarthy, you've got David Heyman, you've got Ewan Stewart, you've got John Murtaugh, who is very high on our Swally tally. But then you have Brian Cox. And I think, I mean, for me, Tim Roth kind of steals the show in this, but actually for me, it's Brian Cox that is...
He's loving life in this film, for sure.
He's an evil bastard and you want to hate him, but he's so funny. And just the delivery of some of his lines. And, you know, for example, one of his main first lines is, "A wee whiff of quim in the morning, sir."
A wee whiff of quim in the morning, Mr. Cunningham, sir. Just the thing to clear your head, eh? Mr. Cunningham, I hope I'm not disturbing you.
Of course you're bloody well disturbing me. Do you think I want to wake up and find some great smelly Scotchman staring down at me?
With his shiny finger under Tim Roth's nose, which was perhaps a bit of attention to detail that we maybe didn't need.
Well, I agree with that. I was quite surprised to see that and quite shocked. But his delivery is so good and he's just chewing up the scenery whenever he's in it.
Yeah.
But in a very downplayed way. Like, he's not over the top.
A bit like Roth, it's not so much of what he says, it's his reaction to things, you know, because, again, he could be an out-and-out utter villain in the same way that John Hurt could have played the Marquis of Montrose as an out-and-out villain. But it's not so much what he says, but like particularly the scene with Tim Roth, Archie Cunningham rapes Mary MacGregor, and you sort of see a side of this character who's maybe, well, this is going a bit further than I thought it was going to go. But yeah, he has to keep up the appearance outside the house when she comes out of the burning house, and he makes a little nasty comment to her. You know what I mean? So there's an element there that he's a sort of chancer who has maybe got himself in a wee bit over his head. This issue has perhaps become something he didn't think it would become.
I would agree, yeah, and that is one of the kind of my favourite lines of the film is when Archie has set the house on fire and they're waiting for her to come out.
If she doesn't come out, Archie, there'll be a reckoning. Shagging us one thing, burning us another.
She'll be out. She's a hater, that one. There she is.
But you can tell that he's just having a great time playing the role.
Oh,
you know what I mean? A chance probably for him as an actor to spend 6 or 7 weeks shooting in beautiful parts of his home country, you know, with a character that he can get his teeth into and have fun with. Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. Eric Stoltz. Now, I don't know how you feel. My feeling is that killing Eric Stoltz off before the hour mark was probably quite a smart move.
Yes, I would agree. As I mentioned earlier, I think he'd been taking Scottish lessons from Liam Neeson. His accent isn't the best.
No.
And he is the first kind of character you see.
Yeah, eating
and
shit.
as you say, eat shit. It's not the best performance that Eric Stoltz will ever deliver.
Well, he'd worked with Michael Caton-Jones before on the Memphis Belle. So,
okay, of
I
course,
guess
yeah.
we have to assume that there was a relationship there. You know what I mean? Eric Stoltz is a bit of he's a kind of like an almost kind of movie star. I think like famously he did a few weeks on Back to the Future as Marty McFly before Zemeckis realised that he wasn't right for it. You know, I think there's the movie Mask when he plays the kid with the bone disease that he's in with Cher, which he plays the leads. I guess he's like joint lead in with Cher. But I don't know. He's very good in Pulp Fiction as the drug dealer for John Travolta.
Oh, he's great. Yeah,
he's brilliant in that role and stuff. But I honestly can't think of what I've seen, like anything modern that I've seen him in lately. He seems to have sort of disappeared. Let's have a look.
If you mention Eric Stoltz to me, I will instantly think of Mask and Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And now Rob Roy. But yeah. He's not that great. I mean, he meets his demise when Archie is following him and he shoots his gun. So he just misses him. Like, he doesn't...
Does he miss him, or does the gun
doesn't backfire
or something like that? Or?
I don't know. That's what I thought. Like, does the gun backfire? But if it backfired, he would recoil. But he doesn't make any... He just shoots. I thought he missed him.
Maybe he did miss him. Because what does Archie say? Lucky or something like that? Or
something like that.
And how does he not see... I mean, the rope that knocks him off his horse is about as thick as my fucking wrist. I don't know if he doesn't see it coming. But yeah, again... along with Jessica Lange, I think Eric Stoltz is an unusual choice, but maybe it was through his relationship with Michael Caton-Jones that he got him in. I just had to look at his IMDb. He's been doing a bit of TV more recently. No high profile films or even television really. He seems to have kind of faded away a wee bit.
I think we need to give a little bit of love for Guthrie in this film as well.
Because
Guthrie. The character of Guthrie, he meets a sad demise, but he's quite pivotal in terms of he's the first person that fights Archie. And obviously it's first blood, he loses, but... When he's in the pub and he is saying to Rob about you murdered Tam Sibbald over your family. Well, I shagged his sister. He's a great comedy character, and it's wonderful that Rob is kind of first blood, and obviously it's a very much kind of prefacing what's going to happen later on in the film with him grabbing the sword, and but Guthrie's great, which I guess kind of leads us on to the end of the film and the sword battle, which is, I think, widely regarded as being one of the best sword fights in cinema history.
Really?
And man, let's be fair. I think it is epic because you know what I love about this sword fight. There's no music behind it. There's no taunting. Like, you could imagine kind of nowadays you would have a film like this and you would have Archie kind of being like, how's Mary? Does she still remember me? Type thing. There's none of that. It's all filmed in absolute silence. There's only the swords clashing. They're both fucked towards the end. Like, they're both exhausted, you can see. And that's why I think it's a great kind of epic sword fight.
Does Liam Neeson... is Rob Roy maybe breaking a rule at the end? Because by grabbing Archie's sword and then he sort of chops him down his shoulder blade, doesn't he? Is that breaking the rules? There was some rules explained at the beginning: no throwing your weapon, no backstabbing, no grabbing, etc. And then Rob Roy, he's like seconds away from being ran through, I assume, and he grabs Archie's sword. It seems a bit unsporting.
Maybe, potentially it could be, but I mean, it's over now. Like, Archie's dead. by the end of it. So if he has broken the rules, what's going to happen to him?
Well, I mean, he was getting patted in the back, and even the old Marquis had to just sort of kind of live with it, didn't he? And
potentially, you could be right there. Maybe he has broken some rules, but oh, come on, it's great.
it's
the climax of him grabbing the sword and just slicing the fuck out of him. It's beautiful.
It's a very good sword fight. I'm just surprised to hear it being described as one of the best ever. But no, it's very good.
It's quite surprising. I mean, Rob takes a fair fucking whack of slices.
He does. Yep.
And then just somehow battles through to the end.
Yep, and just walks out with a hanky tied round his hand. That seems to be the only cut that he's bothered about. It's the one, the palm of his hand.
Goes back to see Mary and meet their bastard child in a few months. Now, surely, because obviously they've got a couple of kids already, and they're both ginger. So, because he's obviously unsure if this kid is going to be his or if it's going to be Tim Roth's kid.
Yeah.
He's going to know. Because if it pops out not ginger, then he's going to know.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is one of the things that kind of pissed me off about this film. It was about Rob's kind of just being an all-round nice guy and just being just such a lovely, wholesome, everything's fine. Everything Rob seems to come up to, it's all okay. It's all fine. It's all groovy. We'll just get through this. It's fine. Kind of annoyed me a little bit about his kind of...
Yeah, you would think like probably the attitudes of the time, he wouldn't be accepting the possibility of his wife having another man's child, even though, the child's conceived through rape. You would imagine in those less enlightened times, he might not have been as sympathetic as he is in the movie. So apparently, when I do my research for the film, the role of the Duke of Argyll was first offered to Big Tam, Sean Connery. And I think I would quite like to have seen Sean kind of squaring off against John Hurt. I think it would have been... Andrew Keir is good as John Campbell. I think he's really good, but I think it'd be something quite cool seeing Sean Connery in the... I can't really see him in the kind of foppish, kind of curly wig that all the guys wear. But,
definitely not, but yeah.
But he might have been up for it. And apparently, Jason Fleming, who has been on the Swally before doing a fucking terrible Scottish accent in Sunshine on Leith. Fortunately, his role in this film as a member of the Clan MacGregor doesn't appear to have any lines, or if he did have lines, they were cut. But seemingly, his agent advised him against taking the role because it was too small a role, etc. It was really just it's almost like an extra, really. But he was determined to do it because he wanted to be in a movie with Tim Roth, who he looked up to and admired as an actor, apparently.
Oh.
Yep. And Tim Roth himself thought he was going to get sacked because he made the character too eccentric, but Michael Caton-Jones actually asked him to dial up the campiness and the eccentricity of the role. So, and then as you said earlier, he ended up getting nominated for Academy Award.
Certainly did, yeah. Did you know that this film is dedicated to two people?
I did, and I cannot remember who it is. It's quite well-known people, isn't it?
It's dedicated to the director Alexander McKendrick.
Yep, McKendrick, yep. And Jock Steen.
Jock Steen, yeah, bizarrely.
I mean, obviously... Rob Roy is, although he was a real person, he's sort of become a bit of a folk hero. And obviously, you mentioned at the very beginning in your introduction that this was envisioned as being a bit of a Mick Western, if you like. But I don't know, it's a bit of a kind of Robin Hood type role, or the way that the character's portrayed. Because Rob Roy himself was actually a much more political antagonist. If you read about him during he was involved in the Jacobite uprising, etc. It's not. I mean, that's kind of referred to a bit in the movie, but they don't spend too much time talking about it. The focus is very much on the kind of plight of Rob Roy and the missing money and the vendetta, etc. But it does he feels like a bit of a kind of sort of Robin Hood type character, especially when he's taking his revenge against the Marquis and the clan are stealing cattle and tributes and stuff like that. You know?
Do you know what I really love about this film as well is, and I think there's a lot of it that you have in historical dramas, that you will have a kind of, at the beginning and at the end, especially at the end, you'll have a voiceover. And it works well in Braveheart, and probably one of my favourite parts of Braveheart in terms of when Mel Gibson, does say they fought like Scotsmen, they fought like warrior kings type thing. There's nothing in this. There is a little, at the beginning, there's a little card that says, but it's nothing about Rob Roy. But at the end, there's nothing of terms of like, okay, so after this, Rob Roy went to, and to be fair, Rob Roy, I think he lived to be on 63. I think he was 63 when he died, which, to be fair, at that time, is a fair old age for Scotsmen living in those kind of circumstances. There was none of that at the end of the film of, Rob Roy went on to become this legend and, live to that. And I liked that there was no kind of, this is it, beginning, end, done.
Yeah.
And I know Rob Roy is become a kind of a hero in Scotland. As we discussed yesterday, I think they have like a statue of him in just outside of Banchory in Aberdeen. Peter Coulter, in Aberdeen. They have a little statue of him and me and my mum used to drive past it, and she would always point out the Rob Roy statue. There's Rob Roy.
Well, there's another statue of him, isn't there? On I think roundabout sort of Forfar kind of way on the main road from Dundee up to Aberdeen. There's a statue at the side of the road there as well, right?
Maybe. I'm not familiar with that. Maybe.
Sure there is. I mean, the thing is, there's a lot, at the time when this film was set, there's a lot going on in Scotland. It's going, the sort of Scottish way of life as it was going through some massive changes that you mentioned before. The sort of clan system was kind of petering out. Around about the same time, there was the Highland clearances as well, which aren't really mentioned. There was a movement to have a Scottish king again, and all that sort of stuff. And I was surprised that no one's made, because if you think about the sort of things that are made about Scottish history, I suppose, and I've never really watched it, and I doubt you have either, but I know it's very, very popular, is Outlander. And I know what the premise, the premise of Outlander is a nurse from the 1940s somehow finding herself back in the Jacobean times in Scotland. That's the premise of it. I'd never watched it, but there's never really been a sort of drama about this time in Scottish history. And it's, you got big characters like Rob Roy, for example. You got these big events like the Highland clearances and things. No one's ever really done it. I don't think that, and I'm not implying that this film was a missed opportunity to do that. I mean, I think this film it's been conceived as a romantic historical epic. If you look at the poster for the movie that's on its Wikipedia entry, the main image is Liam Neeson and Jessica Lange, close-ups of their faces. So it's almost like an old 1940s style poster, and then you've got a little bit of sort of action in the bottom of the poster and things. So I mean, I don't think that no one's trying to say anything in this film, whereas with Braveheart, to your point, Braveheart, either intentionally or not, is making quite a big political statement. The fact that the SNP borrowed quite heavily from Braveheart at various times in their sort of campaigns for election and independence sort of campaigns and things, whether I don't think Mel Gibson set out to help the SNP's marketing and spin people. But, that's what it's become. This film isn't like that. It's not putting Scotland against England, although the kind of main villain is English. I think John Hurt is doing a bit of a Scottish accent, so I think his character is supposed to be Scottish. It's quite a soft accent, but it is what it is. I don't think it's a bad film. It's just a lot of strange choices.
Right. Shall we put Rob Roy through the award?
So the first award / category is the Ewan McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity. What did you go for?
Well, I mean, there's not a lot, but obviously Neeson coming out the water. You don't see
it's not that
you kind of
gratuitous.
do see it. I did do some research for the podcast, and apparently, if you Google Liam Neeson Evian, you will get quite a few results because apparently Liam Neeson's cock is about the same shape and size as an Evian bottle.
He does give an air of sort of confidence and command that you would associate with a guy who knows that he is packing like a serious ski and do in his tartan pants, you know.
That's the only thing. I think if you do pause it, you can see like a flash of cock, but
Moving swiftly on from flashes of Liam Neeson's cock, the James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish. Now, I had 2 nominees here. I'll be interested to see if we have the same 2.
I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6. I've got 6 options here. Despite on the last episode, I said the only person that's Scottish in this is Brian Cox. I've got 6 people named, but 2 kind of main ones. So who have you gone for?
I could have done the same. Because you're right, David Heyman's in the movie, although he's only in it for a few minutes at the very beginning.
Yeah,
Shirley Henderson is there. She's quite prolific. But I went with Brian McCarthy and Ewan Stewart, especially Ewan Stewart. Who did you go with?
The first person on my list is John Murtaugh, because he is in a very fleeting role. He plays the referee in the sword fight. At the end, but he's very high in our Swally tally. I had Brian McCarty, David Heyman. I had Brian Cox because and also Ewan Stewart. I didn't have Shirley Henderson on my list, to be fair. But you're right, she's
quite prolific.
Very prolific. So I don't know who we're going to give this to this week.
I feel with Brian Cox, he's not in as many Scottish things as some of these other guys.
I'm swaying between because he's purely in mode of the film. I would give it to Brian McCarty.
Yeah, okay.
No, you agree with that?
I agree with that. Yep. I mean, it's not his best work, but.
No, it's not. But I think, if you want to give it, like David Heyman, probably wins it in terms of pure Scottish
appearances,
performances. But I think Brian McCarty, it's not his best work, but I think he's in mode of the film.
Yeah. The Jake McQuillan Your Tease Out Award. I had 2 for this one as well.
Yeah, I've got 2 as well. What have you gone for?
So I've got Guthrie getting plunged in the bar by Rob Roy, which I thought was a bit excessive on Rob Roy's part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah, there was no need for that. Yeah.
I also had the guard that shoots Alistair the second time. So after they've made what might be, I mean, if the sword fight is one of the best sword fights in cinematic history, then the getaway when Alistair gets shot has to be one of the slowest fucking getaways I've ever seen. But the guard that shoots Alistair the second time after Rob Roy and him think that they've escaped when he's sitting against the rock, and then Neeson gets him off his horse and everything. I had that for my second choice.
Well, I had my first was when near the beginning of the film, when Neeson and everyone are bringing the cows back after they've got them back from Tam. There's I don't know if you've caught it. There's a little bit. One of the cows kind of gives a little fucking headbutt to Liam Neeson.
I think.
I don't know if you caught that.
No, I never.
He gives him a little horn on the side, and he kind of catches him on the side, and Neeson slaps him on the arse. That was almost like a tease out for me, fuck you, kind of thing. But I genuinely gave it to Alistair drowning Killearn.
Yeah.
Because that seemed to me to be a tease out kind of, because I nearly gave it to Mary for slashing him on the back of the neck. But the fact that Alistair drowns him is more of a tease out.
Yeah, no, I think I'll agree with that. Okay, the Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing. There's nothing too excessive, I don't think. There's a lot of bastards. A lot of the word bastard. I'm not referring to any particular member of the cast. Did you find anything spicier than bastard?
The best one I went for was when they are at the ball, and the Marquis of
Montrose.
It's Argyle, actually.
Oh, the Duke of Argyle.
Gives it, "You are the shite, Montrose."
Yeah. Also, it says, "You are the shite," and the flies on it, or something like that. Yeah, that's a good line. Yeah, that's really good. Try to imagine those words coming out of Sean Connery's mouth. "You are the shite, Montrose." Okay, now for this next one, so the archetypal Scottish moment. Now for me, the whole movie has got that sort of shortbread tin thing going on. You know what I mean? Highland cows, tartan sashes and kilts everywhere, and even Hugh McGregor when he's having the sort of meeting in the village when he's a fugitive, telling people to wheesht, wheesht, wheesht. It all feels a bit kind of on the nose. You know what I mean? What did you have?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, let me try and guess. You had Jessica Lange taking a piss at the side of the loch.
It was genuinely second on my list. But you're not far wrong from my first choice, which was the chamber pot pish scene.
Would you like me to take away your chamber pot? Oh, I know many a Scotsman would be glad of this on a cold morning. It's almost pure spirit, and I'm no judge of a pint of pish.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, and then our final award. So the Sean Connery Awards. Who got to go home and fuck the prom queen, otherwise known as who won the movie. I personally was sort of split a little bit between Roth, Cox, and Hurt. So I do think Hurt's very good. But I know he's not Scottish, but I think it has to fall to, for me at least, it kind of falls to Tim Roth.
I've got it torn between Roth and Cox.
Right.
And I would genuinely love to see a film like a kind of Hobbs and Shaw, like a Roth and Cox, or a Cox and Roth like film. I know they both meet their demise in Rob Roy, but I would love to see a film of the two of them off on adventures, kind of just doing shit. Like, that'd be an amazing film. Just the two of them just off having sex with chambermaids and making dodgy deals and kind of,
comparing shiny fingers, that kind of thing.
That would be such a good film. Like, I wish they hadn't died. That's a spin-off waiting to happen. Cox and Roth. Yeah.
Cunningham and Killearn. The Adventures of Cunningham and Killearn.
Cunningham and Killearn. Yeah. It has to be Tim Roth. He's just the line of when Betty is telling him that she's pregnant and he delivers the line about, "I am a cock upon a dung heap," or
something like that, yeah.
I am dismissed from service on account of my state.
And what is your state, pretty Betty?
You know well, I'm with your child. And this one has made report of it.
Ah, Betty, my report did nothing your belly would not announce on its own.
Archie, what am I to do?
Root it out. If Killearn here does not know an old crone with a twig, I miss my guess.
It's gone too far for that.
Then it will not be the first bastard born in Scotland.
Archie, I love you.
Love is a dunghill, Betty, and I am but a cock that climbs upon it to crow.
That's just incredible. The way it delivers, it's so good. Tim Roth wins it for me. But Brian Cox a very close second.
Yeah.
Because he's so good.
He's very good. And we know that the Academy of 1995/96 agree with us. So, well done, Tim Roth.
Well, they don't, because they gave the award to Kevin Spacey.
Oh, that's right. Oh, well. Well, they can fuck off. What do they know? What do they know about acting, anyway? Well, that was Rob Roy.
That was my choice. So what are we going to talk about next time on the Swally, Greg? Because it's your choice next week.
Well, I've mentioned this already on this episode. it may have been left in, it may have not. But I've chosen another Liam Neeson starring film. And really, I had chosen it a few weeks ago And then obviously we didn't record for a few weeks. But I've chosen the David Leyland 1990 movie, The Big Man, in which Liam Neeson plays another Scottish guy. So we can compare his Scottish accent in The Big Man to his Scottish accent in in Rob Roy. But more excitingly than that, it stars Billy Connolly in a big role, Ian Bannon, Robert the Bruce's Da in Braveheart, Tom Watson, bizarrely Hugh Grant is in it, Joanne Whalley-Kilmer, Peter Mullen, but my favourite, and I feel it'll be your favourite, also stars Pat Roach of Auf Wiedersehen Pet, Indiana Jones, and Saturday Afternoon Wrestling when we were kids.
Fucking love Bomber. Oh.
So I'm looking forward to talking about The Big Man on the next episode of the Swally.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can. You can follow us on Instagram at cultureswallypod, or you can follow us on Twitter at swallypod, or you can email us with anything that you'd like us to review or any news stories that you've seen that you think we'd like us to cover, or just get in touch and say hello on cultureswally@gmail.com. And please feel free to leave us a rating, a review, subscribe on iTunes, tell your friends, anything you can do. It really helps the podcast grow.
Yeah, that's Rob Roy. Okay, well, until next time.
Until next time, Greg. See you soon.
So, Mr. Cunningham, what are these principal sins that distress your mother? Dice? Drink? Or are you a buggerer of boys?
It is years, Your Grace, since I buggered a boy. And in my own defence, I must add, I thought him a girl at the moment of entry.
What say you, Guthrie, that Archie could not tell arse from quim?
I've heard that many Englishmen have that same difficulty.
Oh, spoken as well as you thought. Did you see Guthrie here at work?